Hello everyone, welcome to chemistry class. We are going through the chapter number 2, chemical bonding, and this is the part 3rd of the chapter number 2. In the last class we had discussed about the covalent bonds and the types of covalent bonds, including the polar and the non-polar covalent bondings. In this class onwards, we will discuss now about some of the covalent molecules and their structures. We will see the different electron or the Lewis dot structures. Followed by this, we will see a comparison between the ionic compounds as well as the covalent compounds. What kind of differences are coming in their physical properties, that we will see. Let us begin here with some covalent molecules and the structures. Let us see the structures of some of the covalent compound. So first one that we are going to learn is hydrogen molecule. It is a non-polar compound. Let us see how its structure is obtained. So hydrogen molecule, it is having two atoms of hydrogen atom, and here two hydrogen atoms are sharing an electron pair. As a result, what is happening? A duplet is formed. Duplet means a group of two electrons are present in single atom. That is called a duplet. So you can see here the electron dot structure before and after the combination. Individual hydrogen atom is having one electron in its valence shell. Its atomic number is 1. Another hydrogen atom also is providing one electron. So both the hydrogen atoms will share their electrons, and as a result the electron pair will form that will lead to single covalent bond. So that is a simple one. Next one now, the chlorine molecule. This is also a non-polar compound because same element is present in this molecule. Both are same kind of element only, chlorine. So there is no electronegativity difference. Due to this zero electronegativity difference, the molecule is non-polar. So you can see here the electronic configuration is given 287. Outermost electrons are 7. That means only one electron is required to attain nearest noble gas configuration of argon. That means after the chemical bonding, this particular molecule will behave like a noble gas, that is argon. So that is the purpose of this bonding. Let us see how the formation is done. So the Lewis dot structure, how to draw. First you have to show before combination what is the number of valence electrons in different participating atoms. All the atoms you have to draw which are participating in the bonding. Second step, you have to draw after combination what is the distribution of electrons in the particular molecule. So first one, you can see 7 electrons on each atom we have to draw. Chlorine atom is having 7 electrons. 3 pairs are there on 3 side and 1 electron on the other side. Similarly on the another atom also the same thing you can show. So as a result, what will happen? One electron pair is shared. Only one electron pair is shared. That means what will happen? It will be a single bond, that is a single covalent bond is formed. This single, double and triple bond all we have done in the last class. The third one now, nitrogen molecule. This is also a non-polar molecule, reason being the same. Only two nitrogen atoms are there because same atoms are participating of the same element. So it will be a non-polar compound due to zero electronegativity difference. Nitrogen is having atomic number 7. Its configuration, electronic configuration comes to be 2, 5. Outermost electrons are 5. That means still 3 electrons are required to attain the noble gas configuration, and its nearest noble gas is what? That is neon. Means after the atomic number 7, that is for nitrogen, which noble gas is coming? That is neon. That is called as nearest noble gas. So the purpose is actually what? That they have to share 3 electrons to attain the noble gas configuration. If they have to share 3 pairs of electrons, that means what? That means it will lead to the formation of triple bond. So both the nitrogen atoms will form triple bond. One covalent bond means 2 electrons are shared. Two covalent bonds, 2 bonds means 4 electrons are shared, and triple bond means 6 electrons are shared. 6 means 3 pairs of electrons. Let us have a look at the formation of nitrogen molecule now. As we have seen the configuration of nitrogen, that shows 2, 5. That means 3 electrons are required. So 5 electrons are in the outermost shell. So nitrogen, first we will draw 5 electrons in the outermost shell. You might be thinking that why I have drawn 3 here, because 3 electrons are sharing. So That is why for suitability we have drawn this. So in this electron pairs, you can see here 3 electrons from one nitrogen atom are being provided for sharing. Similarly, 3 electrons from the other side are provided for sharing. As a result of this sharing, you can see here 3 electron pairs have formed. That is, total 6 electrons are involved in this sharing, and it leads to what? It leads to the triple bond that is forming there. As a result, N2, that is nitrogen molecule, is formed there. That is complete. Now we will move to carbon tetrachloride. This is also non-polar compound. What is carbon tetrachloride? It is C, that is carbon, Cl4, that is 4 chlorine atoms are there. That is why it is called tetrachloride. Tetra means 4. So carbon tetrachloride, how it is actually? Carbon on all the 4 sides, it is surrounded by chlorine atom. Chlorine atom is all surrounding this molecule on different sides. Let us see the electronic configuration of both the participating atoms. First, carbon, its atomic number is, carbon atomic number is 6. So if we do the electronic configuration, it will come to be 2, 4. Chlorine, the configuration will come, atomic number is 70. So configuration will come 2, 8, 7. Now in the case of carbon, you can see in the table in the book, in the case of carbon, for the atomic number 6, the nearest noble gas is atomic number 10, because carbon atomic number is 6. So its nearest noble gas is neon. How many electrons are needed more to behave like neon? So you can see here outermost electron 4, here it is 8. So 4 to 8, that means still 4 electrons are required. So that means carbon needs 4 more electrons. On the other side, chlorine, you can see here outermost electrons are 7. That means only 1 electron is required for single atom of chlorine to form or to behave like the nearest noble gas. In that case of chlorine, it is now argon, because you can see the atomic number of chlorine is 17 and next to 17 is 18. That is 18 atomic number is for argon. So chlorine will behave like argon after this chemical bonding. So the purpose of bonding is clear now. Carbon wants to share the electron to achieve the nearest noble gas configuration of neon, and chlorine wants to do this chemical bonding to be similar to argon. That is the purpose. Now let us see the formation. You can see in the center here carbon, it is willing to share 4 electrons. That means it is having 4 electrons in the outermost shell. So we have drawn 4 dots on all 4 sides. On the other side, chlorine is willing to give 1 electron. So 1 electron from the chlorine will participate in this bonding. Remaining all you can draw in the electron pairs. So as a result, what will happen? 1 electron from chlorine will come and another one from carbon is there, and it leads to what? It leads to chemical bonding. So between 1 atom of chlorine and 1 atom of carbon, in this case only 1 bond is formed. Similarly, 1 on each side is formed. Total 4 bond will be formed. So here complete diagram you can see all the chlorine atoms on all 4 sides, and in the center carbon atom is there. That will lead to the formation of carbon tetrachloride. Here they've shown in the different manner with the help of dots and crosses, just to show the variation of the electrons participating there. So this is how carbon tetrachloride is formed. Next one, now methane molecule. Methane is CH4. This as well is non-polar molecule, non-polar compound, CH4. Here also, just like carbon tetrachloride was there, similar to that structure is also of CH4. Hydrogen is on all 4 corners. Now each hydrogen atom will provide 1 electron to carbon. So as a result, what will happen? The CH4 compound is forming. The configuration quickly we'll see. Carbon already we have seen earlier also. So 4 electrons are required to behave like neon. Hydrogen, it is having 1 electron, so it can gain 1 electron or it can share 1 electron to form helium like atom. So that is the purpose. Let us see the formation now. Quickly we will see, because all these formations are similar only. So you can see here after the combination what is happening. 1 atom is coming from hydrogen and 1 atom is coming from carbon atom. Carbon give 1 atom. I am drawing in the form of cross that are from carbon. Another atom will come from hydrogen, that is represented in the form of dash. That is all, the bonding is complete here. Next, now we will see about the polar compounds. Polarity is there because of the electronegative variations, differences there in electronegativity. So in water molecule, in the last class also I told about this. Water molecule, in the center oxygen atomic configuration is 2,6. Its atomic number is 8. So its configuration is 2,6. It is having 6 outermost electron, and still 2 electrons are needed to become or to behave like the nearest noble gas. To behave like the nearest noble gas, that is neon. So it needs to share 2 electrons from it something else, that is in this case is hydrogen atoms are providing 2 electrons for oxygen atom. So how the bonding is done, let us see here. Downside it is here, oxygen atom, you can see in the center we have drawn 6 electrons, and both the hydrogen atoms are giving or not giving, they are sharing one each electron on both the sides. As a result, what happens, the bonding takes place. Here you can see now. So let me draw it for you here. Oxygen, it is having 6 electrons of its own, 1 2 4 here and this. Now hydrogen atom gives 1 electron from this side, and here also this side. Now here you can see for the hydrogen, what is the benefit for hydrogen. Now it is having 2 electrons, its octet, not octet, duplet is complete. In this side also duplet is complete. In the case of oxygen, now what about oxygen? In the case of oxygen, you see all these electrons, now total is coming to be 8. 6 electrons are of its own only, 2 electrons are shared from other hydrogen atom. As a result, 2 covalent bonds have developed and the molecule of water is complete. Another one we will see now, the last one, that is ammonia molecule. Ammonia is NH3, that is nitrogen forms 3 chemical bonds with hydrogen atoms on 3 corners. Let us see the configuration. Nitrogen atomic number is 7, that is 2 5, and it needs 3 electrons to be like the nearest noble gas neon. On the other side, hydrogen, as we have been seeing earlier also, it tries to complete the duplet to form helium like atom. So let us see now the formation. Nitrogen, it is having 5 valence electrons, and hydrogen atoms are providing the extra or the required electrons. So after combination, you can see here, after combination the ammonia molecule is formed. Now here a pair of electrons are left, that is called as a lone pair of electrons, which does not participate in bonding, that is called a lone pair of electrons. So that is all for the chemical bonding, both polar and non-polar compounds we have seen. Now we will move on towards the properties of electrovalent and covalent compounds. There are certain physical properties, and why these physical properties are being observed in this compound, that also we will discuss now. First one is the nature of these compounds. What kind of substances are these? So first one, electrovalent or ionic compounds. These, as the name suggests, these are formed of ions. Cations and anions are attracting each other. As a result, ionic compounds are formed. So because of this, you can say their constituent particles are ions. On the other side, covalent compound, they are not formed as a result of formation of ions, so their constituent particles are molecule. Ions join together to form ionic compounds, molecule join together to form covalent compounds. Second thing, because ions are there and electrostatic force of attraction is there, a strong force of attraction is there. For example, NaCl is a ionic compound. Positive charge and negative charge is there on both the ions. So as a result, what will be happening, the opposite charges will attract each other. As a result, strong attractive force, electrostatic force will develop there. Because of this strong electrostatic force, the nature of this compound will become, that is, hard solid. All the electrovalent compounds are solids. On the other side, covalent compounds, they are not so strong electrostatic forces there. These are having weak forces of attraction. Because the weak force of attraction is there, these kind of compounds can be solid, liquid as well as gas. They can exist in all states of matter because the force of attraction that is forming the covalent compound is not that much strong. Same reason we will apply for the next thing, that is boiling and the melting point. Because of this strong force of attraction, what will happen here, the boiling point and the melting point will become more. The boiling point and the melting point is high because of the strong electrostatic force of attraction, and we need to heat the molecule more to break the chemical bond. The bond will not be easily broken on boiling or heating. It needs to be heated more. As a result, the ionic compounds are having high melting point and high boiling point. On the other side, the boiling and the melting point of covalent compounds are low because of the weak forces. So that is the reason. Here it is, weak forces are there. On the other side, strong forces are there that lead to the variation in the boiling and the melting point. One more thing you have to see, these are non-volatile. Electrovalent compounds are non-volatile, means they do not evaporate. On the other side, covalent compounds are volatile. They can easily evaporate in atmosphere also. The reason being the same, because ionic compounds are having strong force of attraction. The molecules are tightly bound to each other. They will not simply evaporate. On the other side, here it is weak forces of attraction, so they are volatile. Next one, now electrical conductivity. Can they conduct electricity? So let us see here. There, in the case of the ionic compound, if the ionic compound are in solid nature, in the solid state, then they will not conduct electricity. But here, if any of the ionic compound is dissolved in water, or if it is present in aqueous state, then they will conduct electricity. So ionic compounds conduct electricity, but when they conduct, when they are in aqueous state. In the solid state, they will not conduct electricity. On the other side, the covalent compounds, they are non-conductor of electricity. In any of the state, solid, liquid or gaseous, any of the state, they will not conduct electricity. What is the reason now why the ionic compounds are conducting electricity but in the aqueous state? Why they are not doing so in the solid state? The reason we will see now, because of the electrostatic force of attraction that is present between the participating ions in the ionic compound. The solid state particles are tightly packed, that you should be knowing. Solid state, the particles are tightly packed, so they cannot move. In solid state, molecules cannot move, but when they are present in the aqueous state or in the molten state, the molecules are free to move. The ions are free to move. In the last class, I told you about the topic, the concept of ionization. And whenever the ionic compounds are dissolved in water, they form ions. You will see further in this same table only. These ionic compounds, when they are dissolved in water, they form ions, and that means they are starting to move now. In solid state, they cannot move. So because in the solid state, the particles are tightly packed, there is no conduction of electricity. But as the ionic compounds are dissolved in water or in any liquid, then they can conduct electricity, because after dissolving, after being in the aqueous state, these ionic compounds have dissociated, or they have broken down into individual ions, and as a result they can conduct electricity. The same reason is written here. On the other side, here the covalent compound, they don't conduct electricity. What is the reason? The reason being the first point. In the first point, we have seen that these are made up of molecules, and because these are made of molecules, molecules will never conduct electricity. Molecules are not having positive or negative charge, so that is why there is no presence of ions. Here it is written in the book, the reason is due to the absence of free ions. The ions are not present here. As a result, covalent compounds will not conduct electricity. That is three reasons, three properties we have seen. Now connected to that, only fourth point, dissociation in solution is there or not. So dissociation, whenever we take electrovalent or ionic compound, they dissociate into ions, they break down into ions. For example, when we take, if we, for example, water is a polar solvent. Water is having water is a polar covalent compound. Just now we have seen the structure also. So it is a polar compound. That means it is having opposite pole. Structure of water, how it is? Oxygen in the center, that is having partial negative charge, and hydrogen is having partial positive charge. So as a result, partial charges are coming. So water generally breaks down into two parts. One is H plus, one is OH minus. That is the solvent now. So we are talking about ionic compounds, they dissociate. Just take an example now, just for you to understand. For example, NaCl. If we take NaCl and put in water, NaCl is common salt. Common salt easily dissolved in water. How so? So that we are understanding, they dissociate in water. So NaCl, if we try to dissolve this in water, what is actually happening? This electrovalent compound NaCl is made up of what? It is made up of ions. And which ions are there? One is Na plus, another one is Cl minus. So when this electrovalent compound is put in water, at that moment what is happening? These individual ions are separating from each other. They dissociate from each other in the liquid state. In solid state it will not happen, it will remain same, but in liquid state these ions will separate from each other. Why it is happening? Because of the polarity. You can see here the opposite charges are present in the water molecule. You can see individual ions are having opposite charges, and these are only attracting the opposite charges. This negative part of water, OH minus, is attracting Na plus, and similarly H plus of water is attracting Cl minus. So due to this attraction only, the molecules are dissociating in the liquid state. So same reason you can read from the book also. Next one, now ionization in case of solvents. In the case of not solvent, ionization in case of the covalent compounds. In the covalent compounds, as they are not having any presence of ions, they are formed of molecules, so they will generally not ionize. But there is a condition there. In the case of the polar compound, the covalent are of two types, polar and non-polar. So non-polar covalent compounds will not ionize. You have to remember, non-polar, there is no ionization. They will not ionize in water. If you put this in water or any other polar solvent, not only water, it can be alcohol. Alcohol is also a polar solvent. So just for examples I am telling you. So if we take any polar solvent and try to dissolve ionic compound, it will dissolve. But if we take any polar solvent and take any non-polar compound, that is covalent bond, then it will not dissociate. But in the case of the polar compounds, let me zoom in from you. You can see in your book as well. Here it is given. Just for an example, they have given HCl. This is having a polar covalent bond. Hydrogen and chlorine are bonded together with a polar bond. Hydrogen is having partial positive charge, chlorine is having partial negative charge. So this is a polar covalent compound, and the polar covalent compounds can ionize. They can form the ions. So the polar covalent compounds generally can happen. So overall most of the covalent compounds are non-polar only. So generally what concept is written here is they do not form the ions, but the polar covalent forms the ions in the solution. They can form so. So that is the difference of dissociation. We will now come on the fifth point, solubility. For solubility means the compound can dissolve in water or any other solvent or not. So regarding the ionic compounds, they are soluble in water but insoluble in organic solvents. These organic solvents are generally non-polar solvents, and water is a polar solvent. So before beginning, you have to remember a principle for solubility is there, that is like dissolves like. Means same kind of substances or solvent will dissolve the similar kind of substance. That in simple terms we can say polar compounds will be dissolved in polar solvent, non-polar compound will be dissolved in non-polar solvent. So let us understand this concept now. For solubility, now water is a polar compound, and the ionic compounds are also having opposite poles, that is positive and negative charges there. So that is, in a way, they are also polar, so they can dissolve each other. On the other side, the covalent compounds, they can dissolve in organic solvent, and organic solvents all are non-polar. One example of organic solvent can be carbon tetrachloride, CCl4. CCl4 is a non-polar liquid. It can easily dissolve the covalent compounds. So that just for an example I told you. So let us understand the solubility of ionic compound. Now here it is given, because water is a polar compound, so the water is broken down into two parts. One is H plus, another one is OH minus. And if we mix any ionic compound in this, that ionic compound dissociates. Just now we have seen that like NaCl dissociates into two parts. One part will be Na plus, another part will be Cl minus. Now NaCl is already having some force of attraction, some kind of force of attraction, that is ionic bond is present now. So that ionic bond is already there. But what is actually required to break this ionic bond? We need some energy. We need a stronger force of attraction. A kind of force of attraction is required which is stronger than this bond. Then only it will break. Otherwise it will not break. And that stronger force is coming from where? That is coming from the another bond. that is coming from another force, not bond, that is coming from this side, this positive ion, that this one H plus, and here it is Cl minus. So here you can see opposite charges are there, and this force of attraction is more stronger than the one that is already present between sodium and chlorine. As a result, what will happen? The bond will easily break. Similarly, you can see here OH minus is there and Na plus. Here also opposite charges are there, and here also force of attraction will be more stronger. So the water molecule is containing two forms of ions, positive and negative, which are imparting a greater force of attraction than that which is already present in this molecule of NaCl. NaCl as a result breaks down and it can easily dissolve in the polar solvents. So that is the concept of solubility of ionic compounds. The next one, here the point number 6, rate of reaction. In the case of the ionic compound, the rate of reaction is fast. The reaction proceed at a fast speed. Why is it so? Because of the presence of free ions that are forming the ionic compound. In the absence of ions here, molecules are there, so the rate of reaction is very slow as we compare both the molecules. So these are all the physical properties. From the beginning, we'll have a short look again. The first one, nature of the compounds. Electrovalent are formed of ions and having strong electrostatic force of attraction. Because of this force, what will happen? These will become solids. On the other side, weak forces are present in covalent compound. As a result, these molecules will be present in the form of gas, liquid or solid. Next one, boiling and melting point. Because of the high electrostatic force, the substances or the compounds of ionic form, they will be having high melting and boiling point. On the other side, here we have covalent compounds with low melting and boiling point. They are having weak force of attraction. Electrical conductivity, ionic compounds are good conductors because of the presence of ions, but these are good conductors in case of molten state or aqueous state only. Electric conductivity in covalent compounds, there is no conductivity of electricity here due to the absence of ions, because ions are not there. Dissociation, the ionic compound dissociate or break into different ions in solution form. In the case of the covalent compound, they do not dissociate. There is one exception in that polar compounds can dissociate. Next, solubility. The ionic compounds are soluble in water but insoluble in organic solvent. Just the opposite is happening in the case of covalent. They are insoluble in water but dissolve in organic solvent. The concept is like dissolves like. Next one is the rate of reaction, that is fast in case of ionic compound and slow in case of the covalent compound. We have been given an activity and we have to show or prove by this activity that electrovalent compounds can conduct electricity and covalent compounds cannot conduct electricity. So the setup, you can see here, they have taken an electrolytic cell. It is connected to an emitter, battery and a bulb is there. On the downside, you can see a cathode and anode. We will take platinum electrodes. Now the solution we will take of two types. In two beakers we will take one beaker will take electrovalent compound, any of the compound we can take, examples are given. On the other side, in another beaker we will take any of the covalent compound. So the same setup we will try and perform the experiment two times. So first one, as we apply this experiment with the case of electrovalent compound, that time what will happen? The electric current will start flowing. As a result, the bulb that is connected here, it will start glowing. This will prove that the electrovalent compounds allow electric current to pass through them, and ionic compounds are conductors of electricity. On the other side, covalent compound, when this activity is performed, then there is no conduction of electricity and the bulb will not glow. That will prove that the covalent compounds contain only molecules and no ions. Ions are not there, and hence there is no movement of electric current. This is a simple activity to prove that ionic compounds are conductors of electricity. That is all for this class. We will now move on to the in-text exercise, the question answers we will discuss. So here we are with the in-text exercise number 2. Let us begin. Question number 1 is conditions necessary for covalent bond. So what are the conditions for this? First one is 4 or more electrons should be there in the outermost shell, and generally non-metals are there. Next, atom should have high electronegativity high electron affinity, high ionization potential. These conditions are required for a covalent bond. And the most important one is regarding the electronegativity difference. The electronegativity difference between the participating elements should be very low. That means it can be 0 or up to a particular number, that is 1.5. Based on that, we have seen polar and non-polar bonds. Let us now come to question number 2. Three elements are given with their atomic numbers 17, 19 and 10. Now you have to tell which is a non-metal, metal and chemically inert. So based on the atomic number, you can classify element number 17, that is actually fluorine. It is a non-metal. Next one, element number 19, that is potassium. It is a metal. Next one, element number 10, that is neon, is inert. If you don't remember the atomic number, then how you will do? So atomic number 17, you see the configuration comes 287. Outermost electrons are 7. That means it is group number 17. So there also you can say non-metal. This you can do in case you don't know the atomic numbers. Next, atomic number 19. Then what will be the configuration? Then it will be 2881. This is for atomic number 19. So now outermost electron is 1. Outermost electron 1 means group number 1, and group number 1s are metal. So metal is atomic number 19. That is B is a B, that is having atomic number 19 is metal. Next one, last one, inert gas, that is atomic number 10. How? Because configuration shows 28. Outermost electrons are 8. Octet is complete. That means atomic number 10. That is element C is chemically inert. Next one, now B part. Write the formula of the compound formed by the two above elements. Now A and B, if they form the compound, one metal, one non-metal, if they form the compound, you can see here 17 atomic number and 19 atomic number. So metal, non-metal, if they form the compound, that is an ionic bond. So one will gain electron, that will form negative ion with valency -1. Another one, atomic number 19, it will lose one electron, so its valency is +1. So as a result, the compound will form. So here B is a metal, A is a non-metal. So as a result, the compound will be Ba. Next one, we have the question number 3. Draw the electron dot diagram for these molecules, that you can draw using the valence electrons. They can be easily drawn. Question number 4, you have to tell the difference ionic and polar covalent compound. So ionic compound is formed as a result of transfer of electrons. On the other side, in polar covalent compound, there is unequal distribution of electrons. Next one, ionic compound and covalent compound, you have to tell the difference. So the differences you can tell based on the physical properties. Next, C part, polar and non-polar ones. So both the things similarly you can show the difference. One is having unequal sharing, one is having equal sharing of electrons between the participating atoms. Question number 5, a solid is crystalline, high melting point, water soluble. All these are properties of what? These are properties of ionic compound. So the nature of the solid is ionic. Question number 6, what is a polar molecule? Explain using hydrogen chloride as an example. So first you can write the definition of polar compounds. When the shared pair of electrons are unequally distributed, then it is called a polar covalent compound. In the case of hydrogen chloride, you can write that is hydrogen is having partial positive charge, chlorine is having partial negative charge. Why this charge is coming? Because of the high electronegativity of the chlorine, the electron pair is attracted towards the chlorine atom. So as a result, equal distribution of the electron pair is not taking place. Electron pair is more moving towards the chlorine atom. That is why it is a polar covalent bond. Question 7, explain bonding in methane molecule using the electron dot structure. Next one, methane molecule is a non-polar molecule. This you have to explain. So first you can show the electronic configuration and the nearest noble gas. Then we can show the electron dot structure for methane molecule. Next, B part, they have asked methane is a non-polar molecule. Why is it so? Why is it so? The reason is because the electron pair that is being shared is equally distributed. There is equal distribution of the sharing of electrons. As a result, the molecule is symmetrical. So the molecule of methane is non-polar. Next, question number 8, these properties you have to tell. So the properties directly you can write. All have been explained earlier. Question 9, state the type of bond having zero electronegativity difference, that is in covalent bond. Next, small electronegativity difference, that is in case of polar bonds. that is polar covalent bond, and large electronegativity difference, that is greater than 1.7, that is ionic bonds. Next, state the type of bond and draw the Lewis structure of water and calcium oxide. So in case of water, water is having polar covalent bond and the structure is shown here. Next one, the calcium oxide. Calcium oxide is having electrovalent or ionic bonding. So both the types of bonding you have to write, and then the dot structure you have to draw. Here we have the question number 10. All these physical properties are given and they have asked the proper reason to explain these. All I have explained already in the table of the properties. You can note down the answers. Any doubt you can again ask in the comments. Next, question 11. Elements X, Y and Z have the atomic number 6, 9, 12. Which one forms anion, cation? And the third part, you have to tell the type of bond between Y and Z. So you can see the atomic number and you tell what is the one forming cation and anion. So by this you can form the electronic configuration. 6 will have 2, 4, that is for element number X. Next, Y is having atomic number 9, so it is 2, 7. Next, Z is having configuration of 2, 8, 2. So now based on this you can tell the atomic number 9, it is having 7 valence electrons, so only one is needed, so it can gain 1 electron and form a negative ion. So Y will form Y minus anion. So A part answer is Y. Next one now, that is forms a cation. So cation can be formed here. In the case of Z, 2 electrons are in the outermost case and it can lose these 2 electrons with positive 2 charge. It will form Z2 plus cation. So what kind of bonding will develop there between a cation and anion? It will be ionic bond. The molecular formula you have to write, so that you can do by the valencies that are coming. That is, the formula comes Zy2, the valency of Y. Just now we did the configuration of Y, it was 2, 7. So configuration shows the valency of Y is 1 because it has formed Y minus ion. Similarly, Z is having valency 2. So you can transpose this, you will get Zy2. That is for the question number 11. Now we'll move to question 12. Taking MgCl2 as the electrovalent compound and CCl4 as a covalent compound, you have to tell the differences. So same thing, only they have asked the difference between electrovalent and covalent compound. Just MgCl2 and CCl4, they have been given just to create a confusion only, just nothing else. Just you have to write the differences in the physical properties that you can write. Next, question number 13. You've been given potassium chloride. It is an electrovalent compound, while hydrogen chloride HCl is a covalent compound. But both conduct electricity in aqueous solution. Why is it so? So potassium chloride KCl, it is formed of ions. It is an ionic compound. K plus and Cl minus, both are ions. It conducts electricity because the electrostatic forces of attraction are weak in the aqueous solution. Whereas HCl is conducting electricity. Why? HCl is a covalent compound. So, but why is it so? Because it is a polar covalent compound. And I told you in the class earlier time, the polar covalent compounds conduct electricity. That is an exception. Because of the polarity, they can also ionize and they can also conduct electricity when in aqueous solution. Both the things you have to remember, ionic as well as this polar covalent compound, they will conduct electricity but in aqueous solution only. 14. Now draw the electron dot structure that you can draw between the methane and HCl. Both the diagrams you have to draw and you have to tell the difference between the polar covalent bond and the non-polar covalent bond. I hope you can do it. Next one, B part, name the compounds which are covalent when pure but produce ion when dissolved in water. So the covalent compound which can be dissolved in water are polar covalent compounds. So any two example we can write of the polar covalent compounds. Here I have written two polar covalent compounds. One is HCl and another one is NH3, that is ammonia. Then C part, you have to write this equation. When these polar compounds are dissolved in water, what kind of equations are there that have been mentioned here. Question 15 now. An element M burns in oxygen to form an ionic bond MO. Write the formula of the compound if it is made to react with chlorine and sulfur. So for the formula with chlorine and sulfur, we need to know the valency of M. How we can know? Now we can know with the help of this, which is given with regard to oxygen. Now here the compound is forming MO, molecular formula is given with oxygen. Oxygen is having valency 2 and the valency of M is unknown. We don't know what is the valency of this M here. But because the formula is given MO, that means this 2 has been cancelled from here. what we are doing is we are transposing this 2 will come here and something will come here, let us say x. Now the answer is coming here is MO, that means no number is coming, that means this 2 has been cancelled and 2 can be cancelled by 2 only, that means the valency of M is 2. Because the valency of M is 2, now we can find out the formula with chlorine and sulfur. So M valency 2, sulfur, first one is chlorine valency is 1. You can transpose this, formula will come MCl2. Similarly with sulfur, M is having valency 2, sulfur also valency 2. This is similar to this MO. So here now M2S2 will come, 2 will cancel with each other and what we'll get is MS. I hope it is clear to you. Question 16 now. Here element A has 2 electrons in the M shell, outer shell. Next, B has atomic number 7. Don't confuse. For element B, they have given the atomic number, not the outer shell. For element A, they have given outer shell electrons. So don't confuse in the question there. So if we want the outer shell here 7, we can break it 2 5. So outermost electron are 5. For B, outermost electrons are 5. For A, outermost electrons are 2. Now you have to write the equation to show how A and B form ions. Now if A is having 2 electrons in the outermost shell, what should it form in the form of ions? If it is forming, it will lose 2 electrons. So it will form A2 plus. It will lose 2 electrons. On the other side, B. What about B? It is having atomic number 7, that is 5 electrons in outermost shell. So it needs 3 electrons still. So it will gain 3 electrons. It needs 3 electrons to form B3 minus ion. So that will be the equation. Second part now, you have to write, if B is a diatomic gas, write the equation for the direct combination of A and B. Now here, you have to remember it is a diatomic. Diatomic means what? It is a type of molecule. Molecules are of different type, monoatomic, diatomic, triatomic. You would have done in the lower classes. So the molecule, if any single molecule is made up of 2 atoms, it is called diatomic. That means this element is actually B2. The molecule is actually B2. It is having 2 atoms. And you have to combine this. You have to show the direct combination of A with B. That is B2 molecule. So the equation we can write there and we can balance. So how this compound is coming A3B2, that will come from this A part. Just now we have seen A is forming 2 plus ion. That means the valency of A is 2. Similar, and B is forming 3 minus. That means the valency of B is 3. And if you can transpose this, now signs are not required. If you can transpose this, you can find the formula is coming A3B2. That means if A and B are combining, the compound that will form as a result of that will be A3B2. So that means we can write the equation A plus the diatomic gas. So B2 we will write. It gives A3B2. Now you have to balance this equation. For balancing, you can write any numbers, any whole numbers that you should be knowing. So that is the equation that is coming after the balancing of the equation, chemical balancing. The C part now, if the compound formed between A and B is melted and electric current is passed through the molten compound, then A will be obtained at dash and B will be obtained at dash. Now in the electrolysis, two type of electrodes are used, cathode and the anode, and A and B will move to one of them. So A will be obtained at where? It will be obtained at cathode, because A is forming positive ion. So it will be obtained at cathode, and another one, that is B3 minus, B is forming negative ion. So it will be obtained at anode of the electrolytic cell. Because of these charges only, they will move to their respective electrodes. That is all for these question answers. In the upcoming video, we will be discussing about the next type of bond, that is coordinate bond. It is actually a special kind of covalent bond only. We will see the details in the upcoming class, and then we will see the remaining exercises. That will be, this upcoming one will be the last video of chapter number 2. Also, some students have been asking about the notebook for chemistry, so I suggest if you write the answers in a separate copy, it will be better for a revision. So it is up to you. If you want, you can make, but it is not mandatory or compulsory for you to make any notebook. I prefer you make, but it is not compulsory. So that is all for today. We will be back for the next class on Friday. That will be the last for this chapter number 2. That's all. Thank you.